Hi there. In this Adobe Creative Suite video, we're going to use InDesign. We're going to take a layout that looks good for print and we're going to tweak it so it works also for EPub. We'll look at a couple of options as far as exporting for EPub. So I'm going to go ahead and open up InDesign. I'm using InDesign 2020 on Windows 7. I'll choose File, Open. I've got my stuff in Lesson 7, Cliff's Tour Guide. I'm going to update modified links. And I'm going to get an error here about fonts. I'm just going to swap those with some fonts that I have. So I'll choose Replace Fonts. For Courier, I'll use Courier New, bold, and I'll choose Change All. And then Lithos Pro Bold, I'll use Lithos Pro Black. And I'll choose Change All. And then Lithos Pro Light, I'll use Lithos Pro without black, just regular. And I'll choose Done. These guides are distracting, so I'm just going to quickly hide those. Notice Control semicolon also hides them. The first thing I'm going to do is define a style that exists in InDesign, and I'm going to make it match a style that exists in HTML. So I'm just going to navigate to my first page with some text. I'm going to use my type tool and click in Journey to Banyan Cliffs, so that's selected. I don't need this links here. And I'll choose Window, Styles, Paragraph Styles. This is presently using a style in InDesign called Subhead A+. I'm just going to double click on that. And under Export Tagging, I'm going to use H1. And I'll choose OK. So that'll now pick up an H1 tag when it gets exported to EPub, which uses XML, HTML, and CSS. This arrangement of text and graphics will be hard for EPub to reproduce, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this into a group and then rasterize it so it'll be an image. So I'm going to use my selection tool, grab all of that stuff, everything except for those 4 paragraphs at the bottom there. I'm going to choose Object and then Group, Object Export Options. For EPub and HTML, I'm going to use Preserve Appearance from Layout with Rasterized Container. So that'll rasterize the text as well. I'll use a PNG instead of a JPEG, and I'll put the resolution at 150. And I'll choose Done. The next thing I'm going to do is change the order of some of the objects in this via the Articles panel. So in my export settings, I have an option to reorder all of the objects in this document as to where they appear in my Articles panel. So if I choose Window, Articles. So these 3 items here I no longer need because I just created this brand new group, so I could add the object export settings. So I'm going to click on this one here. I'm going to hold down Control and delete those using my little trash can. Now with this object selected, I'm going to choose Add Selection to Articles. I just want to make sure it gets added to this travel guide. So I'll select Travel Guide and then add selection to articles. So it gets put in as a group. I'm just going to drag that so it's underneath table of contents. So table of contents first, and then a bunch of other stuff. Now, before every single graphic in this document, I want, well, not every single, but a bunch of these graphics, I want a page break before them. So with this object selected, I'm going to choose Window, Style, Object Styles, and I'm going to hold down Alt so that I get a dialog for a new style. Gives me a bunch of setting options. So I'm holding down Alt to my keyboard, I click on this, and I get the new object style dialog. I'm going to call this break graphic because I'll have a page break before every one of the objects that I apply this style to. And what I'm going to do is just bring everything back to its default by unchecking all of these so that they're minus. So this will pick up the settings from the actual object as opposed to applying all of this stuff. So I want a minus sign for all of those boxes. Make sure you scroll down and get them all. Otherwise, your object will change as per those settings. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And I'll do one more thing to actually add the break. That's click on EPub and HTML. And that picks up the rasterized container settings that I added for the object already. And for custom layout, I'm going to pick up alignment and spacing, insert page break before image. And I'll choose, notice that and I'm just going to go back to basic attributes. Yep. There we go. And I'll choose OK. So notice the break graphic is applied to that image. If I click away from it, click on that group, it is a break graphic. So I'm just going to apply that same break graphic to this map of Australia. So I'll click to select that, choose break graphic, again, navigate to my next page. I'm going to click on this half a mile out and make that a break graphic as well. So that'll rasterize as well as go to the top of the page. And for this icon, I will also make that a break graphic. Now, another setting I want to do is another setting I want to apply. That is I want to actually apply the articles panel to the order of the document. So we can do that with our export settings. So I'm going to choose File Save. I'm going to call this my Cliff's Tour Guide InDesign. I'll put it in Lesson 7, EPub exported, and save. Sorry, just Lesson 7. And then I'll choose File, Export, and I'll put this in EPub, exported. I'm going to call it My Cliff's Tour Guide 1. And for a type, I'm going to first of all try reflowable. So reflowable is up to the a couple of settings that we'll find in the actual device. So depending on the orientation of the device and how zoomed into the text we are when we're looking at the item will change how the actual document looks. So this is a very it's difficult to port content to this setting. So we'll try that first, see what it looks like. And I'll choose Save. So for HTML and CSS, I'm going to add 36 points for margin. And then under the general pane here, the content order, we're going to get the order from the articles panel. And I'll choose OK. And we'll see what this looks like. A couple of errors, I think we can ignore those. And now I'm going to open up Adobe Digital Editions. I'll choose File, Add to Library, and grab that EPub. Take a look at it. So first of all, it opens, which is a good thing. And we said have that as the first item in a page. So all of those objects that we selected are the top of each page. Let's take a look at what this looks like in another format. So I'm just going to go back to my library. I'm going to remove this. Right click and remove. I'm just going to minimize this and I'm going to choose File and Export. And this time I'm going to use Fixed. And I'll call it 2. So when I use this setting, you see, I choose Save, we have quite a few less options. So it doesn't reflow to fit whatever device someone's using. So I choose OK. And I get fewer errors as well. I choose OK. And then if I open up EPub, File, Add, and grab that number 2, you see the layout is much more rigid. So that's basically, again, adjusting a print layout to be viewed in a digital format. We just looked at 3 things there, defining styles, and then rasterizing some objects and changing the order of objects via the articles panel as well as our export settings. Thanks so much for watching.